everybody, it's Holly here today with a new video for MarkerPop, and today we're going to be making a project with the new stamp set from My Favorite Things called Lucky. This is from the February release. We're going to start out using the large stitched wonky die or large wonky stitch die from My Favorite Things, and I'm using it on a piece of Bristol cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some tumbled glass distress ink coming in from both edges, working off of the cardstock and then coming onto it so I don't have any harsh edges. Just want to lightly color the cardstock. And then I'm going to come in with some Salty Ocean distress ink, and I'm just going to come in along the bottom edge to kind of create an ombre effect. And I'm going to, once I have the Salty Ocean down, I'm going to come back in with the tumbled glass to go over it to make sure I have a smooth blend and there's no harsh lines. I'm using Bristol cardstock, but you could use watercolor cardstock or regular cardstock for this as well. And then I'm going to use some Perfect Pearls mist, and I'm going to spritz the cardstock, and then I'm going to add some droplets as well. I'm going to wait a few seconds, and then I'm going to pick it up with a paper towel, and this is going to help remove a little bit of the ink, but it's going to leave a little bit of a shimmer behind. Same effect you get when you add water to distress inks. I'm going to heat set that a little bit because distress inks do stay wet for a little while, and that Perfect Pearls mist can kind of get all over your fingers if it's not dry. There you see the shimmer that Perfect Pearls creates. So here's the Lucky die we're going to be using, the Lucky stamp set we're going to be using. I'm going to use several images from it and one of the sentiments. And I'm going to stamp the images with archival jet black ink onto some more Bristol cardstock. I'm using the Bristol cardstock because we're going to be working with the Zig Clean Color Real brush markers today. And they blend really well on this cardstock. So I'm going to stamp one of each of the images onto the cardstock, and then I'm going to stamp 3 of the clouds. There's a couple images that didn't stamp very good, so I had to restamp them here. This set's fun because it's got a lot of little faces that you can add to these images as well. We're going to go ahead and add a little face to the star and one of the clouds. And the archival ink is waterproof, so it works really well when you're doing any type of watercolor or ink blending on your project. And I have a piece of scratch paper there to work with the Zig pens. Okay, so I put the numbers at the bottom here of what they are. I'm going to be using light pink, number 26, and number 25 pink. And then I'm going to be using light green 41 and pale green 45. And I'm going to be using yellow and lemon yellow, gray and a light gray. And we're going to use a little bit of light blue. So how we're going to do is you're going to start out with your darkest color. And you're just going to add a very, not a very thin, but just a small amount on the one corner where you want your shading to be. Because these markers are really intense with the color. And then you want to come in with your lightest color. And I like to go over the darkest part and then work my way into the clean area of the image. And then you want to make sure you wipe your lighter colored marker off onto your scrap paper to remove any of the dark color that might be transferred onto it. And that gives you more of a even blend when you're coming across there from light to dark. I'm going to do that technique on all of the images except for the cloud. And here again on the star you can see I add some of the darker yellow down first. The other way you could do this is you could come in with the dark on one side and you could come in with the light colored yellow on the clear end of the image where there's no color and then work your way over into it. You could do it that way too, but I just kind of like, you know, if you're used to using your Copics, you would just color back over it and it kind of helps blend it out a little better. And these markers color really well and blend very well on the Bristol cardstock or Bristol paper. Here I'm going to do the same thing with the dark green and the light green. One thing to remember when you're using the Bristol paper as opposed to watercolor cardstock is it's not watercolor cardstock. So if you use blender pens with these, or aqua painters or a paintbrush, with these on here, you can't apply a lot of water because you will saturate the paper and it will start to pill up because it's not watercolor paper, basically. But you can use a light amount of water with the Bristol paper. So here on the cloud, I'm going to use the light blue, and I'm just going to add like a little bit of an outline through the outside edge of the cloud. And remember, these colors are really intense, so you don't need a lot. And then I'm going to take an aqua painter, and I'm going to wipe it off until it's just slightly damp. And then I'm going to pull that color out just a little bit into the cloud. And I'm going to soften that line I created just to create like a shadow on the cloud. I'm going to do that to all three of the clouds. And then I'm going to go back in with the light pink marker and add the color in the cheeks on the one cloud and the star image. Same thing here, just pulling that color out. So you're just basically going over the line and pulling it in. And you want to wipe your brush off in between to kind of clean it up, to soften the edges. So you get that nice transition from blue to white. And the blue color I'm using is the light blue number 36. And then for the horseshoe image, I'm going to use gray. Is it gray? Yes, I'm going to use gray and light gray, 91 and 90. And I'm going to add a very small amount of the gray right along the edge there. And then I'm going to come in with the gray marker and I'm going to try to pull that out a little bit. The goal with the horseshoe was I wanted to kind of make it look like it was silver. But with only having the two gray colors, it's a little bit harder to do. So I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. And then when I go around the other side of it, I'm going to stay along the outside edge and leave the center of it white. And then we'll come back in with the aqua painter or a paintbrush with water, whatever you're using, and just kind of pull that out into the white. And that helps fade it out some. Then I'm going to go ahead and heat set it with my heat gun, because these are kind of wet for a little bit and I don't want anything to smear or transfer color anywhere. So I'm just going to hit it with my heat tool for a little bit. Then I'm going to take my card front panel there, and I'm going to use my Misty, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Sentiment's from the same set, and it says, "I'm so lucky that you're my friend." And I've already got it lined up where I want it, and I'm going to stamp it in VersaFine black ink, so I get a nice crisp image. I could have used the archival ink as well. That would have given me the nice crisp image as well. Just kind of always go for the VersaFine as my go-to ink when I'm stamping sentiments, it seems. And then I'm going to heat set that for just a second because I tend to kind of smear stuff once in a while and I'm not careful. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. Now, this set does come with a coordinating die set. I don't have the coordinating dies. I actually have a brother scan and cut too, so I just went ahead and put it on the machine and cut the images out, and I'm going to show you here how you can add a little white border around it, or you can cut them right up against it. So it'll save you some time if you're cutting multiple images. And then I have a standard top folding white card base, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to it. And I'm just using some scrap foam that I have in my stash to fit on the back there. Just kind of going to piece it on. I edited out me putting it on there because I fought with some new adhesive that I was playing with, so you didn't need to see that. It was a hot mess. So here we're just going to go ahead and place our images down where they're going to go. Kind of figure out where I'm going to put them. Going to use some Tombow multi-medium glue. Green lid glue is what we like to call it. So I'm going to put some of the images flat down onto the front of the card, and then I'm going to pop some up with some dimensionals. And I'm going to go ahead and add some Pretty Pink Posh clear, sparkling clear sequins. And I have the mix where you get 3 different sizes. I'm going to use some Ranger Multi-Medium Matte to go ahead and adhere those down. And I just squirted some right on my craft sheet. This is the Ranger craft sheet because everything wipes right off. So even your Multi-Medium Matte will wipe off. So I just add a couple sequins on there, and then that's it. That finishes up my card for today. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.